Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a tutorial of how I get my guitar tone. I've had a few of you guys asking about it quite regularly, and I thought it'd be a good idea to get a bit of a tutorial up to show you guys how I'm doing it, so you can get the same sounds in your own home studio. Um, so obviously I've got my door open here. We're running Cubase Elements 9. So I just wanted to go through really how I get the tone. So some of this can apply if you're recording DI guitars, which I do through my audio interface, or you can kind of skip the first part of the process and skip to a few of the other plugins that I use, and obviously the EQ that I use as well. So yeah, just really wanted to go through it, and we'll show you kind of a finished product, what it sounds like once it's obviously sent into a mix as well. So first of all, I'm using the Lapoo, one of the Lapoo plugins, which is a free plugin. So I'll put the link below so you can go and get this. It's a great tool. It's basically based on a Mesa amplifier. Which is obviously a great amp. Unfortunately, I can't afford one, so this is the best that I can do. But this is a great plugin. Take a minute to kind of get my settings here, and obviously you can emulate these to your taste, or if you just where's it disappeared to? It's gone. Let's get it back up. Here we go. So yeah, have a look at the settings. This is kind of what I like. But obviously with this you change it to whatever you feel is right for you. So I'm obviously running that to start off with. I'll give you a kind of bit of a view of what that sounds like on its own. So yeah, that sounds pretty terrible to start off with. But obviously that's just a starting point. The next thing I'm using is NAD IR, which is impulse response, which is basically a cab emulator. So there's quite a few of these out. There's a lot of free software that you can get. Again, I'll link to this below, so you guys can to get this plugin as well. It's a great tool. So I'm using the Catharsis Fredman impulses, and if I just see if I can open this up, there's a few different cabinets or mic presets that you can have. They all sound quite different. This is my favorite. It's kind of the brightest, punchiest one, so that's what I'm using. So again, I'll put links to where you can download these from below. So I'll give you a kind of switch that on and kind of see how that sounds now. So here we go. So kind of instantly that sounds a whole lot better. It's now added a cabinet to it, so it sounds actually like a decent guitar. So the next part of what I do is I use this TSE 808 2.0, which is, so let's boot this up here. It's basically a kind of drive pedal, in a sense. There is a real version of this as well. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but again, this just kind of gives the sound a bit of extra punch, gives it a bit of extra tone as well. So I use this without fail. So again, you can have a look at my settings here, and again, play around with it, kind of see how you feel with this, and change it to however you feel you want it. But it's again a great tool. So I will turn that on and then kind of give you I'll kind of turn it off and on so you can kind of hear the difference as well. So we'll start with it off actually. So here we go. Now I'm going to turn it on. Yeah, so you can hear that kind of really brightens the sound up a bit, gives you a bit of extra crunch, and kind of just brings it up in the mix a bit as well. So to start off with, that's really what I've got going on in terms of my inserts here and the plugins I use to kind of get that tone. And the next thing I do is obviously you need to kind of really use the EQ to first of all, I'll switch this on. I've got a where have you gone? Let's switch these on. So yeah, so first of all, on the low end, I've got a high pass filter at 149 hertz. And what this does, and it's quite important with guitars, is what you don't want is in this area here, or this kind of sub frequencies and bass, you know. We want to get rid of that from the guitar because it just really, you know, muddies up the mix and you lose a lot of clarity with the guitars. So again, if you just have a look at what I've got set here, it's at 149 hertz, and I've just really just cut that low end out completely. It makes a huge difference. You know, you want the bass guitar to do all the work around here. You don't need the guitars for that. So obviously I'll show you how that all fits in just a moment. So and the next thing I do is we stick a low pass filter onto the high end as well to kind of get rid of the stuff that hurts your ears, I like to say. I don't know if that's definitely not the technical term, but I'm not that technical. So but yeah, you kind of want to get rid of all those really high pitched noises again that, you know, just really fuck up your mix in the high end. So it depends, you know, you can do it. I would recommend, you know, 7,300 around there hertz, and, you know, just kind of drop it out as much as you feel you need to. But this is kind of where I do it too, and what I feel comfortable with my mixes. I just completely don't know what I did then, turn that too off. And then I've got this set here, and really I'm just dropping out some of those mids, and that's kind of more preference. I like to drop some of the mids out my guitars, and that again, that is just preference. You can, you know, fiddle with that and kind of do whatever you want. So in terms of the EQ, that's pretty much all I feel I need. You know, get rid of those lows, get rid of the highs, and drop a bit of the mids out. And then I'll kind of I'll start off again without the EQ on it, so you can kind of hear the difference. I'll turn it on now. And yeah, you can definitely hear when I turn the equalizer on. Obviously, I guess I would kind of describe it as when they're off, it sounds quite fat and quite you know, quite a large tone. However, you know, once you bring the bass guitar and the drums in, you really lose that clarity. And as I said, you want the bass guitar to do, you know, all that low end work. So that's why I get rid of all that low end. So yeah, I would recommend having a play with this. But yeah, this is kind of how you want your equalizer to look. Really with guitars, the next thing I do is, so I'm just going to pan this back over to the right because that was just a mono track going on there. So I'm going to solo both of these now. They're both obviously more or less the same, one pan left. And what I do is I double track all my guitars. So here I've got my two rhythm guitars. I've got a lead here as well. So I'll double track. It just gives you, you know, a wider guitar sound. So I'll give you kind of how that sounds. So obviously that just makes the noise. That's a pretty standard technique, to be honest. You always want to be double tracking your guitars. Don't copy and paste because it sounds shit. So what I've now done is I've sent both of my guitars to a kind of guitar group here, which just makes it easier. You can obviously control the level rather than having to adjust each one individually. Those are both the original tracks are just set to 0 decibels, and I can adjust it with this fader here. Don't know why I've got equalizer on there. So and really the final part of how I get my guitar sound is I use this tool called Easy Mix, which is by Toontrack. It's quite a good little tool, to be honest. It's a bit of a cheat, but I like it, and there's a lot of different things in here for a lot of different instruments and, you know, different sounds you want to get: vocals, drums, guitars, bass, whatever. The only really thing I tend to use in this program is the Master 1, which is a bit of EQ, bit of transient, tape simulator, compressor, limiter, and a few other things. And what I think this does, it just kind of compresses that guitar just to make it a bit cleaner, but it also kind of brightens it up and sits it higher up in the mix, and just gives it that extra punch. So again, what I'll do is turn this off and then kind of show you the difference of how this makes the guitars pop out. So yeah, as you can hear, that makes quite a big difference, to be honest. So that's just the Master 1 preset, and normally I'll just click that on again. So normally the blend is just set in the middle. I like to just bring it down a little bit to sort of about a quarter, and that's where I like it, but you can obviously have a play around with it. There are some different programs. I suppose you could use something like Finality by Joey Sturgis on this. I think I actually preferred this. It was just slightly easier, and it really achieved what I wanted to achieve. So yeah, we've kind of set our guitars up there, so I'll show you how that all kind of sounds in a mix. So just unmute everything here and yeah, have a listen. So yeah, obviously that fits in quite nicely. What I will quickly do as well is just quickly mute the bass guitar. I'm actually going to mute that as well, and you can kind of see how the bass guitar fits in with the guitars as well. Yeah, obviously you can hear where the bass guitar fits in and why you obviously want to cut all that low end out, and that's really it, to be honest. It's fairly simple. Again, what I mentioned earlier is if you were using, if you were miking a proper amp up, you would just essentially get rid of this part of the program. I suppose you could use that, the TSE 808, just to give the guitar a bit of extra bite, but you wouldn't need to use the kind of the amp and cabinet plugin. But yeah, obviously if you don't have the money to have an expensive amp, then this is 100% the best way to get a good guitar tone. So I hope that helps. Feel free to leave comments in the comment section about anything else you guys might want to know. I really appreciate your support. Keep listening to my music, and yeah, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and if you want to see and get notified of more videos from me, I'll be releasing some more songs fairly soon. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys. Take care.